Okay. Just gonna turn this on and we will get started. Decluttering December. Excellent. All right. Let's give it a few minutes and see. I know we had a bunch of people who wanted to come, but they have holiday things going on. It's a hard time of year. Tova and I were just talking about that. So we will see.
But we're recording, so we can send it out to everybody.
Yes, exactly. We are recording. Let's see. Okay. I think we'll give it like 2 more minutes and see who else can make it tonight. But as you said, Tova, we are recording and we're going to share this with everyone who signed up in our email list so that you can sort of watch it at your own pace, perhaps with a
Yes.
glass of champagne like we have there on the cover image, or tea if you've had a long
I
day.
know I should have made tea. I went for a walk today
Okay.
and it was cold. And
Deep thought. I love it.
I just took a bath and I'm not warm.
Mm,
And I mean, I was in the bath for like a very long time.
sure.
And my hair clip and like my hair being up and it was not warm. I did not warm up. I did not, I should have just worn gloves. There's a real easy fix to this.
Is what it all boils down to. Well,
It's just gloves because my whole body was fine. But
right.
yes.
All right. Well, why don't we get started and I will keep an eye on,
Yes, if anybody else hops in.
yes, anyone else popping in to chat with us. If you're not here and you're listening to this recording, gosh, I lost the word entirely. It's 8 o'clock at night and my brain is slowly going shut down.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to the recording and you find that you have questions or things you want to ask us about, don't hesitate to reach out. You'll see at the very end of our presentation we have all the ways you can find us, but most of you probably already know you can just hit reply to our email, I'm pretty sure, and and get to us that way. So but let's get started, Tova, talking about decluttering December and what we what we mean when we're saying that, because it can mean all kinds of different things. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And also just maybe real fast, like our inspiration
yeah,
for, I think every December there's this feel of wanting to like let go of whatever was haunting us in the
yes,
year previous. But we are both fans of, and I'm gonna forget everything about it, a blog. And we while we mock any of these like super long lists where it's like 178 ways to be joyful or whatever.
right.
Um, there is a blog that his name is escaping me right now.
Is it the Be More with Less blog? Is that the one you're
Yes, Be
thinking
More
of?
with
Yeah,
Less. And
yeah,
she released something about a month ago, a blog post about 63 things to do before the end of the year. And what I loved, which sounds insane,
yeah. Talk about
but
overwhelming.
or it was 63. Yeah, but it was like go through your junk drawer, but then it was also like let go of shame. Like it was
Right.
just it was so this idea of decluttering kind of has now stuck in my head as both something that you can get rid of the socks that don't match,
Yep.
but you can also let go of guilt that you don't need to be carrying with you into the new year.
Yeah.
Like it can be the whole spectrum.
It was a liberating experience to read that list and not be overwhelmed at the end. Like I started out overwhelmed, and then by the end I was like, oh, okay. All of these things are, things that I would actually like to do. Well, most
Yeah.
of them. I don't really want to deal with my junk drawer, to be honest. It's a junk drawer for a reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we decided to talk about this with everyone because even though we're in the holiday season and like people are busy, people are out, at parties, at gift buying, I don't know, running away from their families. I don't know what everyone's doing, but
Running
everyone is
towards
very
their
busy.
families.
Right. Everyone's very busy. Um, at the same time, I think it's an ideal opportunity to really think about what it is you want to let go of and why, you know, why would you even want to let go of stuff? Like, what are you letting go of? Right. So one thing I'd like to understand, and maybe everyone who listens to this on the replay could email us or like message us on social media and let us know when you hear that term letting go. Um, what do you think? Like, what does it make you think about other than, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, it makes me think of the Titanic and Rose at the front of the ship. I don't know why. Um, it just does. So,
Well, I know. So I like you mentioned, this is a busy time of year.
yeah,
So it's hard to think about like self-care. I think a lot of us put a pin in it until January. But and you and I really see January as like a time to hibernate.
yeah, absolutely.
Like the self-care starts in February. Well, hibernating is our self-care, but
Yeah,
like the hardcore self-care starts in February. But I actually think that like looking at this slide, like letting go makes magic. Oftentimes we are holding on to expectations of how we should be feeling during the holiday season. So, like, while this is something that maybe we can take into the new year, it's also something I think that can help um help us navigate the holiday season. And
yeah,
whether you celebrate holidays or not, it's a busy time of year. You can't go
yes.
to a store without it being having more people. There's an expectation if you have time off at work that you're going to be coming home or seeing more people or parties, even like once again, even if you're not actually celebrating any of the holidays. But I think that there is magic in letting go. And if you let go of the right things
Right.
and not like right, not that there's a right and wrong, but if you pick things to let go of that can actually enhance your holidays, like, and I know we said this 100 times, but you let go of sending out Christmas cards.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But years ago. But yes. And it was so liberating. Um,
Right. Right.
yeah.
And I think that it's hard to figure out like what you should let go of and what you shouldn't let go of. And especially with kids, and you and I both have a child that kind of doesn't show that they're enjoying themselves a lot.
Yes. Still.
And so like our family went and cut down a Christmas tree, which I was like, are we sure this is what we still want to do? Do we not want to just go to a lot? And they were like, no, we want to cut it down. And I was like, okay. And my youngest was like, no, I don't want to be here. I don't know why we're here. But by the end, after tears, he was very happy and he was very excited to be there.
Right.
So I think that you can figure out as an individual or even as a family, like, are there traditions you're going to let go of? And then let go of the guilt that's attached to them, right?
Right.
Um, or
If
let
you
go of like, I was just thinking like, let go of giving everybody in your family a present. Like maybe this is the year you could just exchange names, like,
Yep.
and that's magic. That's magic.
It is magic and it is liberating and it is an opportunity to create space for something that's actually meaningful for you.
Yeah.
Because if you're too full of, the busy or the ought tos or the shame, or whatever it is that you're full to the brim with, there's no room for joy and there's no room for what we're talking about, which is magic. If you want to jump to the next slide, Tova,
Yeah.
it'll kind of dive into um our initial sort of thought process and all of this, in which, we've already sort of explained a bit of this, but I just want to, I guess, elaborate on the why aspect, right?
Yeah.
Of why this matters. And really it gets down to what I just said. And that is if you are spending all of your time focused on things that are not fulfilling you, or things that do not satisfy something inside of you. And I'm not suggesting that we don't have things we have to do. Of course we do. The laundry is never going to satisfy me, right? Like I'm never going to be like, "Ooh, laundry, this is so enriching." Uh,
Mhm.
and it has to get done, or nobody has clean clothes, and all those things. But that doesn't mean I have to do the laundry and the dishes and the vacuuming and the dusting and the obviously I don't like cleaning and all of the things, right? I can let go of some things in order to make room for what brings me peace and joy and happiness and excitement and all those like good, wonderful feelings. Um, Also, we're focusing on the magic of letting go right now because so many of us forget to be present in our own lives. And particularly, I think that happens around holiday seasons. Now, if you know me or if you've listened to our show, you know that like I have 60,000 holidays, birthdays, events that happen all at once, and then like none for the rest of the year. So you would think it would be like, oh, great, we're all celebrating. But it kind of, um, have found in the past, not this year, I think I've been pretty successful at the goal I set for myself. But in the past, I haven't even been present for my kids' birthday parties or like for
Yeah.
for Hanukkah or Christmas or any of the things that we celebrate at this time of year or Thanksgiving. I've just been like, I can't even talk to you people. I don't want to be here. Um, and so I've worked very hard to figure out how to be present. And that process required letting go of certain things and of expecting, birthdays to go a certain way or Thanksgiving to go a certain way or other family members to be a certain way, right? Like there are a lot of things that you have to work through to let go of. So for me, that's why it is magical and that's why we want to be focusing on it.
Yeah, and I'll just add, like you said, you can't let go of doing laundry, but you can let go of like I don't separate my whites and my colors, and my
Right.
clothing's fine. Like
Right.
nothing has happened. Like, do I make sure that there's not a lot of whites if I buy a new red sweater? Like, yes. The first time I wash it, I don't wash it with my white t-shirts. But beyond that, like nothing has happened. It's okay.
Right.
I've let go of that a long time ago. There's also and this there's a book that called How to Keep House, Clean House While Drowning.
Yes.
But she talks about like there aren't moral implications to keeping a clean house or like getting the laundry done. Or like I'm always like, wouldn't it be great if one day a week I did laundry? Well, yeah, it would be if there weren't four of us living in the house.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
that's literally all I could do that day. And so we can let go of guilt and shame because we don't have the laundry put away. And that we can laugh at those memes that's like 1 hour to wash, 1 day to dry, 8 to 10 business days to put away the laundry. Like we can laugh. So I think
Right.
that we're focusing on this because it is a way to make the holidays and end of the old year and the beginning of the new year more magical or lighter.
Right. Um, so beyond the why of letting go and decluttering our lives, how do we decide what we want to let go of? Like, how do we make those decisions? Because as we've been saying, there are things you have to do.
Right.
Okay. But like you just said, Tova, most things don't have a moral implication to them, right? Like, not just keeping a clean house, but like if you cater your Thanksgiving dinner, there's no moral implication to that. I've said this before and laughed at myself heartily in telling you the story about like microwaving green beans and feeling like, "Oh, I can't believe I didn't steam them in my precious steamer." And just being like very hard on myself for something so absurd. There is no moral value to steaming versus microwaving vegetables.
Right.
Um, and so I think that's like one of the biggest components to this whole process. And that goes to whether you're literally decluttering your home, like physically getting rid of things, or your car or your office or your workplace or wherever, and the sort of mental stuff going on that you might be decluttering.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like, there's ways to like bring it all together, right? So, recently we have been decluttering my freezer. And what that means is we're eating everything in the freezer. So
Yes,
that means that with trying not to buy like replacements and trying not like just as much as we can build a meal around what's in the freezer with as little addition as possible. So what that means though is breakfast for dinner because we have frozen fruit for smoothies and I don't know how long it's been in there. It
right,
means a lot of chicken fingers and French fries. Now the chicken fingers or the chicken nuggets actually have to be replaced because they always have to exist in my freezer. But it means like bagel pizzas after school. And I'm not going to feel guilty about any of that because we are cleaning out the freezer. And so like there's ways to say, you know what, I'm letting go of the menu coordination and menu perfection for the rest of the month because I'm cleaning out the freezer. And so I'm kind of decluttering both a feeling and then an actual thing.
right.
But I want to emphasize it is important to decide what we want to let go of. So as much as I loved that list of 63 things, I can't do all 63. I love the idea of it. I love that some of the things were easy. Maybe I could do 10, maybe I could do even 20 because some of them were like very like just double check this. Like I'm making something up, but like double check the next time you need to get an oil change or something, you
Right.
know. Um, but if you're like, I'm going to read this list of 63 things, or I'm going to make a list of 20 things I want to let go of. I want to let go of anger towards my sibling. I want to let go of guilt when I don't do this. I want to let go of these bad habits. Um, that sounds like a lot. There's 3 weeks left in the year.
Right.
And B, um, it's not going to happen. It's just not. So not only is it important to decide what we want to let go of because we want to figure out what will have the biggest impact on us in the next couple of weeks, but we need to decide what we want to let go of because we can't do it all.
Yeah.
Pick one thing, maybe two, if you can coordinate them together, but pick something that you can do, that you can achieve, that you can feel accomplished for. You have 3 weeks of and I really don't like when somebody says, "Oh, how are you doing?" And I say, "Oh, I'm so busy." It's lame, but this is genuinely a super busy time of year,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not. So
Right.
be realistic with what you want to do.
And I think on top of all of that, not to add more to everyone's plate, but on top of all that, there's some level of like gut check you need to do, right?
Yeah.
And there's a level of tuning into your inner voice and maybe taking time to get quiet and thoughtful and thinking about what is it that is weighing me down, right? Like, is it cooking Thanksgiving dinner? Is it, sending out Christmas cards?
Right.
What specifically is holding me back? And that's the thing to let go of, right? There might be other, tangentially related things that you let go of, or maybe you will get to your junk drawer or, you know, throw out old clothes or donate old clothes or whatever it is that you need to do. But like the things that are physically and mentally weighing you down will raise their hands and wave at you if you take the time to
Yeah.
stop and listen to your body and your spirit and your mind. And it's not always easy to do that, but it is a wonderful thing to do.
Well, and this is also something that like, if you have the money, you can throw money at the problem, right? Like,
Right.
I know something that weighs me down is getting into my car and seeing like, so I have not washed my car since we went on vacation.
Hmm.
I have not washed it since all the sports. I have not washed it since road trips for Thanksgiving or since we got a Christmas tree.
Right.
And like one thing that I would enjoy a lot more over the next few weeks of driving around and seeing family and going places would be to have a clean car. And so I can let go of not prioritizing myself. I can let go of like recognizing I'm not going to get out there with a vacuum. Like I need to pay somebody to clean the car.
Right.
This is like something I need to put money towards. It will bring me great joy. I need to then let go of the fact that the car will get dirty almost immediately, but
Thank
that
you.
like I will know that it's been cleaned recently and I'll get
Right,
like a holiday scented smeller thing.
right.
And, and that would bring me, I think, peace and like actual peace to be like, okay, there's not sand in the back of my car.
Sure. And
And that's, so this doesn't have to be, this can be something that you work on every day, but it also can be something that's like a one-off.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a combination, right? Because again, while you're probably not going to have the 63 things you're decluttering from your life, um, in obviously I had fun with videos, by the way, everyone.
I know, I'm loving them. I'm totally loving them.
But you're not going to get through those 63 things because if you're listening to us, you most likely have either a spouse or a partner or a pet or animal or pets or animals or children. Obviously, I replaced children with the word animals. Uh, but you have people in your life depending on you. You're busy, you're working, you've got things going on. And
Yeah.
so getting through that list of however many things that you need to do is not very realistic. But when you figure out what you are ready to release, you'll find that it clears out some space. Like it is literal decluttering of, I sound like my tween daughter now. It's actual decluttering of your insides, right? And making space. So, but does it like, so I added some questions in here because as I was thinking about what we've been talking about, Tova, I was like, decluttering kind of makes me cringe. Like the idea of the word for whatever reason, like aggravates me. The act of decluttering feels great. And when my house is empty of things, I also feel great. Because I don't like a lot of things lying around. But I think personally, I have been attaching that moral judgment to
Yeah.
clutter, right? And
Yeah.
so it's an interesting full circle conversation of like, okay, I want to declutter, but I don't want to judge myself for not decluttering, but I need to, so that's part of back to the why of why this matters and why we're talking about it.
Yeah. And just figuring out, like I said, what will sort of benefit you the most in
Right.
the long run. I just read the article in Times Magazine with Taylor Swift, and
Mhm.
the person in the art, the person writing the article was quoting a meme, but she shared it with Taylor, and Taylor was like, "Oh my God, yes!" And it was like, "Don't cut out the things that you cringe about, right? Cut out the person in you that cringes. Like, just let go, man. Just like let go." And I think sometimes that happens when women get older. Anybody gets older, but like if you love, I mean, now it's cool to love Taylor Swift, but like, listen, when I went to her concert 8 years ago, it was not that cool. I mean, it
Right.
was a sold out concert, so it was cool for somebody, but it was like grown women weren't like, woohoo, Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But like I was there and she was awesome. And I let go of like caring what other people think about whether I like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and that's I think another aspect of what we want to talk about is this, as we just had a guest on the podcast and we talked about this quite a bit of, the idea that as you age, you have less cares to give. I am trying not to swear for all of you. And I think that I mean, I think that that is true for a lot of folks, but not everyone. And the the most liberating experience I have had in my life, I think, is letting go of worrying about what other people are going to think about what I say, what I do, how I act, the things I like, the things I don't like, what I order.
Yeah.
Do I go to Longhorn Steakhouse? Like, do I eat at a fancy restaurant in New York City?
Right.
Letting go of that worry of being shamed or judged for who and what I am is like if you can declutter that, you are on a very good path, I think.
Well, and a good way to practice that is like if you have a nasty sibling or aunt or somebody who's like super passive aggressive, you can make a pact with yourself this year. Or I highly suggest finding an ally in your family that you tell them, like, listen, this has been something that has stressed me out. I did this at a party recently where I knew that I got like irrationally stressed about certain things, not irrationally, but like disproportionately stressed about certain
Right.
things. And I just shared it with my cousin. And guess what? Knowing that someone else knew that was going to happen, it didn't happen. Like it felt so much better. But back to this passive aggressive aunt of yours, like if every time you see her, it just hurts because she's just nasty, you can let go of caring what she thinks. That's actually something that you can control. You cannot control her passive aggressiveness, but
Right.
you can let go and you can release your reactions and you can recognize that she is a sad woman who is attacking you for no benefit to you. And that can be something you decide. And then you can, when you see her at Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or a Hanukkah party or wherever you might be, you can let that go. And so
Yeah.
I think it is really important that you think about what you are ready to let go of and ready to release.
Yeah.
Um, so we talked a little bit about this, but I think the really big thing is you just have to decide to do it, which I know is ridiculous, but like you have to make that decision.
Yeah.
And I would say share it with somebody.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Having an accountability buddy, for lack of a better description, is really, really helpful. But I also would say that making time to think about it is step one, right?
Yeah.
Because so many of us, myself included in the past, don't make time to sit and think and contemplate. And,
Yeah.
maybe it's not sitting, maybe you're out. Like, Toby, you walk every day. And I'm sure during your walking, many thoughts take place, right? Like,
Yeah. And a great way to capture them, and what if you journal or not journal, use your notes app or use the Keep app or
yeah,
whatever. And you could say, like, write this down. Like, what do I want to release? What do I want to let go of before the end of the new year? Put it on a sticky note and put it on your computer
yeah.
and just think about it. Like not everyone goes and has a Zoom where they record themselves talking about it, but I have a bunch of ideas just because we've been thinking
Just
about
sitting here. I know.
them.
But I guess I know I'm being repetitive about this, but I just want to, like, I don't know, hammer it in there of you really have to make the time to contemplate these things. Whether
Yeah.
it is I want to release the couch that was a hand-me-down from my grandma and I don't like it, so I'm going to get a different couch that I can afford on Amazon or IKEA or wherever.
Right. Right.
Um, or if it's I'm going to let go of losing 10 pounds, right? Like, or I'm going to let go of judging myself for not losing 10 pounds, whatever it is. Like, you can't think of it if you're not taking the time to think about it. And so what I would suggest is, 5 minutes a day. Like, if
Yeah.
if that, of thinking about this will get you where you need to be. Now, sometimes it'll get you to like weird places where you're like, I don't really want to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We can let those thoughts just pass through and go on their way. That's all right. Um,
Brushing your teeth is a good time to think about it.
Taking a shower, folding the dreaded laundry,
Mhm.
um, walking the kids to school if you walk them to school, driving to work. Um, there's just so many places where we can take the few minutes to
Yeah.
change up our routines, which is also good for us in general, and go through this process of like, what am I feeling? What am I feeling physically? What am I feeling emotionally, mentally? What am I feeling spiritually, soulfully? Like, what are these things passing through me? And maybe the first week you do that, you're like, I don't know. I'm just a jumbled up mess and I've got 12 birthday parties to plan and my
Yeah.
head's exploding. Maybe. But then, there will come a point where something will pop into your brain and you'll be like, oh, you know what? That ugly shower curtain is driving me crazy. And if I get a new one, it will stop taking up space in my brain. I
Right.
don't like to focus so much on all these materialistic things, which I keep doing, because I do think even more important than that is the inner work. of
But I mean, not to, but I think that deciding that you're not going to give something space in your
yes,
brain
that's
that
what I was
doesn't
getting
deserve
to.
it,
Yeah.
that
Is
is
like
the inner work.
is the ultimate goal, right? Like if it's I really, my uncle gave me this silverware set and or cutlery set or whatever, and I've had it for 10 years and I really didn't like my uncle, and every time I see it I think of him, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not just about the cutlery. It's about the feeling you get when you look at it and
Well, and
letting
because
go
it
of
is,
that.
yeah, is it ever just about the shower curtain? It's no, it's the shower curtain's dirty. And why can other people keep their shower curtains clean and yours doesn't? You know what? Other people don't, they replace theirs once a year. Like,
Right.
that's what
Right.
happens. Well, I remember having a conversation with a friend. I was like, how do you keep your shower curtain from getting mildewy? And we had this whole conversation. And she's like, you know what? I live in Colorado and there's no humidity. That's how I
Yeah.
keep it from
That's
getting,
it. That's it.
but we had this whole conversation. She's like, I don't know. It doesn't get mildewy. Like, and I was like, what's wrong with me? Um,
Uh,
so I think you're right. It is overwhelming, but you can sit down, you can write a list, you can put that post-it note somewhere.
yep.
Something will come. It doesn't have to be big. Often the littlest things are life-changing.
Yes.
Um, so I think we should just, in the interest of everybody's time, because it's the holiday season, we should
Yes.
probably
Wrap it up.
wrap up.
You got
But
it.
we are here to help, right? So this can feel overwhelming, and we are here, whether it's to have you listen to the podcast or have you reach out to us individually. We are here to help you figure this out. That's what we love to do the most.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk a lot about this stuff in our social media. We talk about it on our podcasts. We talk about it in our weekly women's circle.
Yeah.
I don't know. You and I talk about it constantly, so it's
And
hard to
it's,
remember where.
I mean, it's huge. I am a person that if I have trouble holding myself accountable to me, but holding myself accountable to other people. So in November, I was very stressed and I just wanted to get my to-do list done. And I told everybody in the circle, like, I will not go back to old ways of not sleeping.
Right.
And just telling them that. No one's asked me, no one's checked in and been like, how's it going? Because I keep mentioning it. But just sharing it with people made a really big difference and made sure I didn't do that, that I didn't stay up late. So I think we can be that support system if you don't have it, or we can be a supplement. I think sometimes we rely on our friends, but then we feel bad about relying on our friends too much,
Yeah. Or our family.
or our family.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
We also recently launched a new group, and it is really kind of based on this whole conversation, to be honest. It's called the
Yeah.
year review. And our goal with this support group, I don't want to call it a support group. I don't know why.
The
This group,
crew.
it's a
Oh,
group, the U crew. The whole goal of this is to help you, figure out what it is that you want for your life.
mhm.
You know, give you everyday support in achieving that, and especially in like the process of figuring out what your goals actually are, what
Yeah.
things you really do want to let go of, because obviously it's hard. Like these are hard things to work through and figure out, and it's much easier for somebody else to tell you, right? Like to walk through it with you and to see the things, to have an outside observer give you advice and ideas. It's like very hard to take your own advice. Um
Things can be very clear to other people that are very not clear to
yeah,
yourself.
that's a much better. I was like, how do I say this? Like,
Um,
again,
but
much clearer.
but the goal of the year of you, we spend a lot of time thinking about the name. We get unnaturally obsessed with names of things.
Yes.
And maybe we should let go of that in the new year. It's never gonna happen. We it's not about like a new you, new year, new
No.
you, or any of that nonsense. It's really just setting up the support. So if you have a goal, a system throughout the year to set goals, but you could use some support, maybe the goals aren't serving you. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you haven't really thought about it since for 5 years, since you had kids or since you left your last job or whatever. Or if it's a situation where you always set New Year's resolutions and then 6 weeks later you're done and you wish you weren't, but you need support. So it's daily, it's, it's really a lot of support to there to just help you and make sure that throughout the next year, you're prioritizing taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Oops, I went the wrong way. Still going the wrong way. There we go. We will have tools built in. We have, we've done a lot of research about this. We've done a lot of work. So it's not just like virtual hand holding. There's going to be documents, for lack of a better word. There's another word that I'm looking for that I can't think of, but
Worksheets and journal
worksheets.
sheets
Yeah.
and all kinds of tools to help you work through the process of, like we were just saying, figuring out what your goals are, figuring out like, am I still chasing the same goal I was chasing 10 years ago and it doesn't suit me anymore? All of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And there's going to be bi-monthly live Zoom conversations where we're going to hold you accountable to the goals you set and help you figure out what those are. So it's a lot of interaction. It's a lot of time together, but not a lot of time spent for you, right? Like, so it's not something that's
Yeah.
hard to do,
Yeah.
but you get a lot of time with us helping you sort of sort through the whole process.
Yes, exactly. And here is the special pricing. So, for anyone on this call, honestly, anyone you share this with, anyone who is watching this later, anyone who is checking this out in our newsletter, we have special pricing through tomorrow night.
Hmm. You can find it on your website or on our website, not your website. Um, There's also, I think, a link in our link tree from our Instagram if you want to go that route. If you have questions about the group, please reach out. We're happy to answer anything that you want to know. There's also there are payment plans available. So if that's something you
Yes.
want to talk to us about, you can always email us and we can
Oops.
figure that out. And like I said, if you have questions, reach out. Like we're pretty available most of the time. So we're happy to sort of flush out the group for you based on, whatever questions you have. And we would love to have you guys join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a bit of work, but like the fun kind of work, I
Yeah.
think, and the satisfying kind of work. So hopefully we'll see you there and you can spend the year focused on yourself and not in a selfish way, in a very healthy
Yeah,
way.
for sure. So, we will close out with places to find us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, our website. You can find out our podcast. If you're listening to this right now, we just there's a great interview today that we released, so we would love for you to check that out.
Hmm.
But you know where to find us. We are always available to answer questions, whether it's about the year review or our weekly women's circle or any of the other things that we offer or work towards. We would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us for this last workshop of 2023. And
Yeah.
we'll be back, I think, in January with a new topic. We'll see how that works out. Um, Until then, everyone have a wonderful holiday season.